that. So I have put like 100 kids on Travis Air Force Base, just trying to make sure that they have their first job. And it went up to about you guys' age, you know, about up to 25. I'm a little winded right now. But I'm Brenda Veal. I started out as Brenda Lamb Veal, which is like two meats there together. And so yeah, I'm just resolving. You're laughing right now about that. I get a lot of things. Even at the airport, they pick that up. But I have been in California for a lot of years, from about 90s and into now, because I was the last station at Travis Air Force Base. And so when I was there, you learn in the military to do different things, because the military is based on all of the excellent things that you do in terms of not just out there fighting wars or whatever, but they also want you to be able to just step into any field, any job, anything. So my job was aircraft maintenance, and as an aircraft maintenance officer, you're in charge of all those big planes you guys see, the C-5s, 141s, like that. Not the jet kind, but the actual kind where it's you know, cargo airplanes. So we could carry either bunches of pallets of supplies that we can airdrop to you if you're a military and we're trying to airdrop you some Jeeps or whatever it is that you're going to need. Sometimes it's snowmobiles, and sometimes it's just foods. And so we can do that kind of stuff like on a 130. You can do that. You open up the back while you're flying and you push the pallet out. It has parachutes on it, and you can give it to anybody that basically need it, that kind of thing. So I'm like third world countries or wherever, we're sending planes there to do those kind of things. And the 141s, you know, the same kind of things, but you can't necessarily open and lapse it out, which means it has parachutes on it. It just means that you have to land somewhere and then drop off the stuff that's needed. C-5s can carry bunches of stuff. We call it the big, what's so-called fat average kind of plane, and it's real temperamental. You can hear it kind of going up, and it's like screaming a little bit, and you're like, oh, come on, come on. You're on the flight line, and you're just like, okay, come on, hurry up, get up there, because you don't want it to come back. It's just going to have to do a lot of work on it. So that's the kind of thing that I did, which was really a great thing. It wasn't what I intended. My whole thing was trying to go to medical school, and I was a New York University graduate twice as a Bachelor of Science, and then into being a physical therapist, and then from there they came and said, do you want to go to get your master's? And so it's like, yeah, but you need money to get a master's. And so they said, no, it's going to be free, because they were looking for, I guess, people like me or so what, to give a master's degree to. And so I took that, and I'm kind of starting a little bit in the middle, so I'm just starting here. And so I took that and got a master's degree, but I went to one of my better times going to do an internship, and then doing the internship was in Philadelphia, in the Poconos, trying to do work as a counselor for developmental children. And so I was able to do that. So you meet all kinds of developmental kids. For those of you that want to do medical things, you meet all kinds of developmental kids, like whether they're multiple sclerosis, or whether they have kids that have emotional problems. For example, the emotional problems would be just kind of things that happen with family at home, things that happen with family at home, or things that just happen because of natural being born a certain way because of something went wrong during coming through the birth canal, or development even before then. So we've had those kind of kids, and sometimes there was like those schizophrenic things going on there. You know, one particular person that we had, she was about 230 pounds and young, but she would do certain things, very gentle with the young kids, but also she would, if you kind of stopped her from doing something, or she felt something wasn't right, or she could hear her mother's voice or something like that, she would slap herself really, really hard. And so you had to be really careful that you didn't scold that kind of person, because you don't want them beating themselves up. So you know some things are going wrong there. So what you do is you love on that person as much as you can, because they haven't had that type of love. Do you see what I'm saying? Love makes a real big difference in per person's life, especially kids that you have that are like that. And you have some kids that are like runners, and they run, you know, to get away from you, but they run to like the guy side of our camp. And you have to kind of make sure that you keep an eye on those kind of people. And so those are the kind of things. You sleep there in the cabin with them. You have like 8 kids or so that are all around you, and they have all kinds of things going on, but you still lay down and go to sleep. And when you can do that, you know, it's like a special kind of person, I believe, that need to be able to feel secure still, feel protected enough that these people are not going to hurt you, and you're sleeping right there. They have open access to you at any time. So well, on my situation with the person I'm just talking to you about, I would wake up every morning to her banging her head on the foot of my bed, you know, so then Brenda, you know, rolling off my name on her tongue, doing the R's. And then you're like, why are you up so early banging on my bed, you know? So they become like your kids. You begin to really love on them and stuff, and you know exactly then after a while what to do. The thing you have to watch with here is that they will actually pick up the things that you do that are not the greatest things, you know, whatever it is, they will pick that up. So that's kind of what happens and where I was coming out of that. And we moved from there, and I decided that I wanted to go to the military, and I wanted to go to get the military training for medical school, because the NYU said, we'll pay for you, but we've paid for so much stuff for you already that we won't pay for your medical school. So, but I could get accepted, I could go, but you needed the money to do it. So I decided, okay, what I would do is go in the military, because I had already been wearing my dad's khaki shirt. He had a khaki shirt with the stripes on it. And so I was like, okay, Dad did this, so I'll do the same thing. So first I was going to go Navy though, and then I decided that I didn't want to do Navy because one, I couldn't swim, which makes no difference because they just push you in the water and you learn how to swim. But then the second thing is, I had a police officer, I was in Brooklyn, New York, and I had a police officer that said, he was Air Force, and he said, you don't want to do that. I talked to your dad. You don't want to go Navy. He says, go ask your Navy recruiter if he would make you an officer. And I did that, and he said no. So I says, okay, then forget it then. I'm not going Navy, I'm going Air Force. And I went Air Force, I was an aircraft maintenance officer, and it was really great. And now I'm in New York, in Brooklyn. I go to officer training school in Texas, and then from Texas, I come, my first assignment, Pope Air Force Base. But I had originated here in North Carolina, so I was like, who wants to go back home? I don't want to go back to North Carolina. Oh my God, how did I get Pope? That's like so out of the ordinary. So anyway, I came back to Pope, working on 130s, and it was really a great experience. You know, still got time to spend with my grandma here before she passed, and it was just awesome. And the year she passed was the year that I got to go to Travis Air Force Base. But the good thing about being at Pope is that their 130s, they send about 15 of them to England all the time. You know, you rotate between Pope, Little Rock, and one of the Dyess Air Force Base. And you rotate, and each of you take all these planes, they send some officers over, and I happened to be one of the officers that went. Didn't know anything, but it was like, okay, I got good NCOs. And that's one of the things as an officer, you have to always have a lot of good NCOs, like chiefs and master sergeants, senior master sergeants, like that. And one of the things now, I'm talking to you in reference to having a degree, having an Air Force, having a bachelor's of science degree, is that when you have that, you open up more doors to you. There are many more doors open, doors that you don't even see in terms of what you actually can do in reference to the you know, your life. You have different things that you can do. You get more money. Each degree, each level that you go up above it determines the level of money that you can get. And so I think that's pretty important, you know, when you are thinking, well, I'm in college now, I may not have a whole lot of money right now, and you're anticipating and you're trying to plan to see what you're going to do from this point on. And at some point, though, you're like, I'm tired of being broke, you know, because if you don't have rich parents like I did not, you know, then you have to kind of move on to where you can continue to get yourself out of those situations, you know, where the monies begin to flow, and you know, not just 40,000 as a teacher, but you know, into your hundreds of thousands. You know, in California you could get that amount, and maybe New York. but North Carolina, you don't get that much as far as teaching goes. But when you, but teaching is a great aspiration, which is what I did when I got out. But the thing about it is, when you decide to go higher in terms of education, it's very important for you to do that in terms of not just money, but also being able to network with other people. One thing that I always tell my son, who was already, college graduate and already out working and stuff, is to say something like, you actually need to be able to, thank you, you actually need to be able to just plan the various things that you want, but you have to have some goals in order to do that. Goals will make you reach what it is that you want to do. That's the first thing that you need to do, set your goals. The other thing is you need to write those goals down. And I have kind of switched, I think, from moving from talking to you about military to just kind of talking to you in reference to having some goals. There was a study done some years ago in at the Harvard Business School. I may not have enough, I'm not really sure. I did 15. They feel good. Huh?
Everybody got one?
No, we don't have that stuff in here.
Can you get one of these? Okay.
One of the rules is not to,
Two copies?
there's 2 copies on the
I'll
10
do it
reasons.
on, okay, possible.
There's the thing back there.
Because
Okay.
like she's doesn't it?
Yeah. So the reason the paper feels good is because Quality Printing just did that for me, and that's what was making me late. I was standing over there like, come on, I gotta go. And I had tried the new technology. You call in the morning and they say, well, just send it to me and I'll be able to print it for you before you get here. And so about 7 something, I sent it to him and emailed it, and then I walk in there like before 11, and I was like, I'm thinking I was just gonna pick up my copies, and he said, you didn't send it to me. And I was like, yes, I did. I just sent it to you. He said, there's nothing on it. There's no attachments. And I said, yes, there is. And so we pulled it up, and I was like, you're supposed to click on that little blue line right there. So I did that, and then we were able to get it up. So after some cutting and pasting, this is what we were able to come up with. On one particular sheet, there's some ads down there that were supposed to be off. I think it's on the sheet that says the 10 reasons to go to college. Where we're talking about, we're not talking about the 2-year schools, we're talking about the 4-year schools. Okay, let me line it up for what you're supposed to have. You're supposed to have, the 10 reasons to a college degree. I want you to see the Harvard Business School goals. And then I want you to have the suggested book list for self-development. There's 2 pages to the 10 reasons to go to school.
What's the second page look like?
The second page is nothing on the top, it just continues on as a counting thing. Okay, you need the other 5 reasons part? Okay, does someone else have the 5 reasons part? An extra one? Here it is. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just right there.
Okay, you have everything?
Everybody have it?
Okay, you have other classes?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, good thing you got the paperwork. One thing I wanted you to take a look at, I bought several books too. This is a book that I'm presently reading, and even though it's a book that my son recommended to me, he's about 28 years old right now, he's like, I was telling him about starting a business on Facebook, on the one you can do an extra page on Facebook, and on that you put different businesses and then you relate them, things like that. So I'm starting that because I went to a class through small business, and they said that we should have 5 ways of income coming in. So and I know that because as a teacher, when I stopped out from military, I became a teacher, and then in becoming a teacher, sometimes the teacher's job does not last you for 30 years. Sometimes that job only lasts you for a couple of years, and then you're like, what in the world am I going to do? Because they start to have layoffs. So in my school, what they did was they the finance guy at the board actually took monies, so the school could not pay the teachers all of the monies that they were supposed to, and they had already made union things where they weren't able to even meet the union agreements and stuff. So it's threw the teachers in a real dilemma. So what happened was you learn from that, you never have just one income. You always need more than one income. And even if you think, okay, I got this teacher's job, teachers never get fired, I'll be here forever, it's not true nowadays. So you need to have more ways of making money than just one thing. So always make sure that you have something, because now there's high technology, and with the high technology, you need to have an online business in addition to your going to school, in addition to your whatever it is you're trying to be, And you've already been made with lots of creativity power. You're made with lots of excellence already because it came through God. And so you have if you don't believe in God, that's just, temporary, I would say, because after a while, you'll have to realize there's a higher power somewhere. And so that's one of the things you need to know. The other thing you need to know, if you're like I was probably a little shy to start with, getting up and then going on to New York, leaving here, going to New York with my mom, lived with my mom and dad, and then starting high school, I did it, and they did like mid-sophomore and 10th grade here, Cleveland High School, and then I moved to Bushwick High School, and when I moved there, it was like, okay, these people don't even know me at all, and I'm not talking now because they have an accent, and so I'm not saying anything because I'm trying to figure out what in the world are they saying. That's the first thing. I did not know Spanish people. I didn't know Spanish language because they never taught. I took French for 3 years, and so I didn't know any of those things as to what I was supposed to do, say, nothing. You have no friends, you just walk into the school, and the school is like 2 or 3 floors, there's elevators, and my school was a flat school with no, nothing. So here I am, little shy girl, walking into a high school and trying to figure out, what in the world is this? What did I do? Coming with my mom. So as a result, I learned my counselor. That was the very first thing I knew to do. And it's the same thing that you would do in your different colleges. You will find your counselor, find your counselor. I'm up here doing this like a preacher, just spitting on people, sorry. So that's what happens, and so while I was there though, I took every report card that I had. I took it had everything, my A's, my B's, my whatever. And they were good, and so they put my name in a hat at that time because they had a college bound program that they didn't have here at this school, the college school here. So my name was put in a hat. It's a lot of people. I pulled out of the top 25, and so from there I entered into the college bound program, and that's how I got started in terms of going to the college. They make you do 6 state schools, 6 universities, 6 private schools. And you're writing all of these letters. Your counselors come in and they do this with you because it's the college bound program. So you'll determine that you will go to college no matter what. And so they're grooming you now in all of this thing. And they got all the way until the last very few months left. And then they realized, oh, you have to do typing papers. And so we didn't have typing. So they had to cram typing, like a whole semester into like a few weeks. And so that's how we did that. We just learned. So anyway, as we moved on from there, I just came back to tell you that because sometimes you have to be able. But I want to tell you about this book, The Miracle Morning. I'm jumping up just a little bit because I'm trying to meet your time requirement. The Miracle Morning is a book it's on the book list by Hal Elrod. Now this book was written by a guy who had a car accident. He had just made a big speech, which was one of his things was to be a public speaking, motivational speaker. So he went from here to just made a good speech that night, he and his girlfriend riding down Highway 99 in California. And then all of a sudden there's a drunk driver coming, and it's a truck, it's speeding, and it's in right in his side. So he gets hit head on. And then all of a sudden, here comes a teenager who's 16, and she's driving, and she's coming from, I guess, a different direction. She hits him right inside. So he has 2 cars that have hit him now, and he broke 11 bones, the femur, the arms, he broke all kinds of stuff. And then the back part of his brain kind of suffered some real damage. So with all of that, he came out of it though, and he wrote this book. And what he learned after he had gotten already done, he went and started working with youth and stuff. And then after a while, he decided, he was going to this paperwork you have for her. Okay. After a while, he decided that he was doing good. He was making it 400 and something thousand a year. And then he decided that he was good. He was making it well. But then everything started to happen in terms of everything began to happen in terms of the economy. He broke, everything, all the money, he lost everything, he was losing his house, everything. And then finally, he got up and said, okay, what do I do? He didn't want to get up out of bed in the morning. But he decided, okay, I have to do something. What am I going to do? And he decided, someone said, you need to run. So he got up, he's like, I don't want to run. But he still had Nike shoes though, because he had 800-something thousand, 400-something thousand a year. And so puts on his Nike shoes, gets up, goes for a jog. And while he's jogging, he's thinking, you know what someone said before? They said, if you spend 2 hours in the morning developing yourself, self-development stuff, that you will be able to reach the high level of success that you want. The number 10 that you want to be. And so that's what he began to do. And that's what this book is about. It tells you how to do those kinds of things. How to get up 2 hours in the morning, 5 o'clock or earlier. Spend those 2 hours on self-development. Because if you don't develop yourself, you won't reach your goals, you won't reach your high level, or any of those kinds of things. And on that Harvard report I told you about, those people wrote their goals down. But everybody didn't. Only a certain percentage of the people wrote their goals down. So as a result, then, in writing things down, 3% of those people actually accomplished that. However, if the ones that 97% or so that didn't write anything down, but they had goals in their mind and they never wrote them down, they never succeeded. So I'm saying to you that if you want to go to a 4-year school, it's not really whether you have the money or not, it's how many goals do you have that are written on paper. How many goals do you actually have to do it? Now, I've given you some things that told you to actually go ahead and start to go to school, go to the next school. I've given you a reason why. And one of the reasons is that you will get together, you will meet people there that have great goals as well. And then those people will be able to pull you together to get different things. I was just talking to a guy at the post office not too long ago. He said, well, my nephew has become a billionaire. And I was like, well, how did he do that? He says he hooked up with those Silicon Valley people, the ones in California, the Google and all those people. And when he hooked up with them, he had already been to Stanford. And then he left from Stanford and he went to Cambridge in England. And then he decided, I'm going to do this. And he came back and they created, I'm thinking the Lanaken, is that the one to do that, social media? So he did that. And they got together, it was 15 of them at Stanford, was where he knew all 15, and then they all got together, they said, let's do it this way, let's do it that way. They worked it out, and they came up with this product, and then they became millionaires. You see what I'm saying? So that's how you do it. It's not necessary that you just go in there just because you're gonna get an education, you're going there to meet the people. And the people that you meet may be at that school where you are, maybe at the first school, some may have been here, some may be at your next level school, some may be in your PhD level, But the bottom line is when you meet all of these people, meet the ones that know how to do things, the one that have heard things, the one that has connections, because that's your whole purpose is networking. That's what you want to be able to do, is network. So network while you're there. You can't go to a school and sit in the corner or be in the library and have your nose in the book all the time. You need to be talking, meeting people. You need to be just kind of, outreaching a little bit. I was shy, but I sure got over that pretty quickly. I got rid of it in the military, and then just being in college and doing it and meeting the med students that were in school because we would all eat. I would have I would have anatomy. And anatomy at New York University is right beside Bellevue. So you have different bodies. You have people that donate themselves to science and stuff, and you know, people like me that have to learn how, if you're going to be a physical therapist, you will learn how to cut the different legs, we had legs, look at that. We had legs, and we had arms, and you know, the foot, and you're digging in the foot without that fat under it, and trying to see where the muscles join. You know what I'm saying? It's great, you know, so look at he's like, even I don't like that. But that's what we did, because you're trying to be a student that actually learn how to do all of this stuff to be a good physical therapist. And so that's what happens, you know, but I was just fortunate to have that type of school, that level, so that you do your classes at the hospital and stuff. And then the medical students are right there doing the same thing, we're doing the same classes. So at lunch, we're meeting each other, all the students, and talking and stuff, and we have roast beef, and we're cutting this roast beef thinking we're doing anatomy right now. You know, okay, we're cutting the fascia from this, we're cutting the fascia from that, and we're talking our way through it. But that's how you learn and you help each other. So that's one of the things that I can say that I learned in college, was just meeting so many people and learning. And that's the same thing this guy told me in reference to his nephew, meeting all of the people, coming back together and developing that system, that social media system that pays now millions of dollars. And so that was one of the things I wanted you to know. The second thing I want you to know, am I close to time? The second thing that I wanted you to know.
May I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
Prior to my accident, I really wish that you could have been here the whole entire time that was allotted for you. I'm loving what you're saying. You have so much to share. It's all valuable. It's already blessed me.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So thank you for coming. I hate to leave.
Okay, but you have to leave. And I have that backpack.
But I am enjoying everything.
Thank you
that
so
you're
much.
sharing.
Thank you so much.
Really.
What accident did you have?
What accident? What
Did you- I thought you just said before I had my accident. You mean before I came late, that's what you're saying?
I
Yes,
don't remember
I-
saying accident, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I got lost in the
But
weeds.
it's okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're
Hating to
welcome.
leave,
That's
thank you
okay.
so
No
much.
problem.
Okay, if any of you guys
It's
have
been
to go,
great,
please.
it's been
It's
great.
worth waiting for, right?
Yes, it's been great.
Thank you so
I would love
much.
to say come back, but I know that probably can't.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Take care, man. Thank you.
So basically, I've given you the papers. I wanted you to look over some of those. One of the things that I just mentioned in terms of meeting and networking is in your 10 reasons to go, because you will meet people, the alumni people. There's an alumni group after you graduate. There's an alumni group that you can join. I signed my son up for a lifetime. You know, that was one of his gifts, was to join, to be able to go back to UC Davis anytime he wanted, because they have a law library there. So pick your schools or where you want to go. Please don't decide to just sit down and not do anything. You know, oh, I had it, this is enough, I can't do anything else. You know, this costs money. There's always money. All you need is the idea that you want to go. If you get the idea that you want to go, the money will come. There will be a way to come. Just look at President Obama right now, who's giving away two years of school free. You know, and, you know, you may not be able to participate in that now because you've already done the 2 years.
Yeah.
But when you go into your next year, see, my son went to 2-year school. First he started at Morgan State, and he didn't like Morgan State. There was a lot of things going on that people don't tell you about through that school. But when he wanted to come home, and they didn't have the same thing either that the military has, because if you have a sign up for disability or anything that you went to a doctor for, and you get a disability claim and they get it approved, your children will go to school free. So I have 2 sons, 2 boys, and so they get the opportunity now to go to school free, even on my husband's side and on my side. So we have it 2 ways that they can go to school free. So all they have to do is just go sign up, go see one of the veteran people, sign up, and then their classes start, and they get, I think before it was $400 and something a month to go to school. My son saved up his money and bought his car so that he would be able to go to school, and then afterwards he would have a car to go to work. So he did that, paid cash for his car. So you can do those kinds of things, you get your tuition and everything paid, and I've talked to several other people that have been able to do that, and then they got approved, and if they had already paid money for college, they were giving back that money and the government paid what they normally needed to pay. So that happens in several ways. I have one guy now that was a ranger in the Army. I told him to do that. He has 5 kids. And then he decided, well, I'll do it later. But now since your first child is graduating, and I told you 2 years ago, and he didn't do it. And so when she went off to school, the money didn't come, and she had to come home. you know, but now she's going back in school again, she's doing nursing and everything's being paid for. So that's how that works. If you have people that are veterans, that's how that would work if your mom and dad are a vet. And so that's available to you, but it's not always available, like, you know, like Baltimore didn't have that. And I don't know why, because all the federal governments was that same thing, but they said, we don't have that. So my son decided to come home, go to a 2-year school, which he did, and then for the 2-year school, it was an automatic transfer into UC Berkeley or into UC Davis or any of the schools, southern schools. You know, Southern Cal had the same thing. So any of those kind of things are available once you get into the school. You just have to research and see what's available and get your money, you know, because the money's available. That's what I'm trying to say to you. So don't just say, well, I don't have any money to do that. You know, I had one cousin, and he said, well, I can't go because grandma said that she doesn't have any money. She didn't save any money. Well, grandma knew this boy was going to go to school, you know. So as a result, we said, just sit here. We'll sign you up. We'll put you in Shaw. So we signed him up, put him in Shaw. I have 2 teachers in my family, lots of teachers really. I have 2 lawyers in my family. So we're all sitting there, and it's like, let's put him in Shaw. And then he got accepted to Shaw. Then he's still in Shaw, but people talking to him saying, you don't have any money to pay this. He wanted to be a barber. And we said, you don't have money. You can't do this. You can't do that. And everybody, all the no's, you know. And then when I talked to him in December, because I was actually going to help him all the way through. And then he goes, well, I'll be out of here by December. It's like, well, what are you doing now? Well, I'm just singing in the choir. And it's like, that's not the way you're supposed to be going. And so he did. He came home in December and decided, okay, I'm through with that, you know. And the other thing is, you have to be a little prepared when you're going to go, you know, because mom and dad's not there. All your other 4 or 5 brothers are not there, sisters. And so you have to be a little prepared. You have to develop yourself a little bit so you can be out there on your own a little in case you go away from home. And then, you know, you just have to make sure that you can handle some of the different things of the separation. And I think what happened with him, he got homesick. And he decided, I'm going home, my brothers and sisters, you know, forget the career. And that's what he did. However, he didn't stop though. He went to cosmetology. He took that, and then he learned to do more hair. And then he decided, I'm going to barber school, but first I'm going to finish this. So he hooked up with a group of Asian people that were running the different beauticians and places like that. And they have started to train him, teach him. You can see his stuff on different social media things. Does beautiful hair, you know. So he came back and he actually did that way. And he's still going to do barber school. So he didn't totally quit, but he went a different route. And sometimes we have to go a different route. Sometimes, you know, people get sick and all that kind of thing. And that's leading me to another point, your health. You need to make sure that your health is good. You know, keep up. Read some of the things that tells you how to do. Read alternative things, natural alternative things like using vinegar, you know, that will help you. Vinegar on your feet, you know, or using tea tree oil on your feet when it's flu season so that you don't catch the flu. You know, while you're around all of these people touching all these different things, you know, put stuff on. We had classes upstairs because I came here to upgrade in computers. And we had tea tree oil and stuff every day. So we bought that, we put it on a thing, and we rubbed it, you know, to make sure that we didn't catch whatever germs, because computer you can use to catch germs. So that's basically what we did. And when I get home, I have tea tree oil on my bottom of my feet, because that's going to keep your body from catching all kinds of stuff. So look up some of those natural kinds of things that you can do and things that you can use in order to make sure that you stay healthy. Okay, so I just want to tell you that. Make sure you watch your weight, which I've been trying to really do, and make sure, you know, wash your foods. You know, don't eat all that stuff out of that machine, even though that machine's out there. Potatoes are fried, so make sure that you take care of all of these different things. Make sure to do the things that make you healthy. And then the last thing I wanted to talk to you about, because I'm thinking I'm probably running out of time. The very last thing is you have to have a spiritual connection. No matter what, you have to have a spiritual connection. And it's some kind of, whether you're going to read your books, whether you're going to learn to meditate some, because I've had to learn to do the meditation. I do mindfulness meditation. You know, like when you look outside, and you're like, oh God, it's raining. You know, I don't want my hair to get wet. And so my mindfulness teacher, she looked, I was at the school up at Duke by then, and she said, it's only weather. You know, and it's like, that takes everything out of it, doesn't it? You don't have to worry about it, say, oh, she killed that right there. So I was like, wow, that was made so simple. So you do different things like that, you know, meditate, think on different things, And I'm not talking about, you know, a lot of wrong type meditation. I'm thinking about things where you're focusing on you for a while. And that's part of that, getting up in the morning and talking to yourself, doing affirmations and saying, I'm going to do this, and spending that time, that quiet time, either in your Bible or whatever other book you use, to just spend that time a little bit. And when you walk out, this guy says that within 2 months, he was back on to where he had lost. You know, the 400 something thousand he had lost, he was right back up there again, because once you do it once, you can do it twice. So that's what happens. You have to know what your eligibility is, what your ability is in order to do a thing. And once you get yourself there and get the benefits and stuff that you really need to help yourself grow, then you can do anything. It doesn't really matter, you know, if you fall, pick yourself up, do it again, start right over again, because you have the skills. Once you get that education, once you get that skills, once you're able to like broaden your way a little bit to handle things, you learn how to deal with your finances, you learn how to look up things and say, I'm going to get an IRA, I'm going to do a Roth kind of thing, you know, whatever it is, you're going to be able to learn that. And so making yourself qualified to do a certain thing is one of the things that I'm saying that you actually need to do just a little bit, you know. So start developing yourself, start to grow in terms of dealing with people. And so that's one of the books. Here we go. This is the last thing I'm going to say. How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is one of the books that when you're doing multi-level marketing and all this kind of stuff, this is the first book that they'll recommend that you use. How to Win Friends and Influence Yourself. It tells you all about different kinds of people. How to deal with challenging people. How to, you know, not just snap them off or tell them off or curse them out, but how to actually, you know, love on them and bring out their positives, start to compliment, you know, and just do things that show them that you're really accepting them, and all kinds of stuff, but also learn to set boundaries, you know. So this is one of the books that I would recommend, which is on there. Think and Grow Rich is a good book. It's a book that tells you that if you can think it, you can have it. And so this is one of the ones that I recommend reading, but it's a little challenging, just a little bit in the beginning. So I would recommend it as your first book. I'd recommend Miracle Morning as a first book. This book is called Eat That Frog. This guy had the same kind of thing. He had an accident, he went through some things, and he actually died. He didn't make it. So, but there's a lot of stuff by him, Brian Tracy. He's on YouTube a lot, and he's calm, he's talking to you, and he's saying the exact same thing that this younger guy is saying, you know, how to just build yourself, how to get up and work with yourself and develop yourself, develop yourself through this so that you'll be able to go where you want to go, do what you want to do, talk to who you want, that kind of thing, and increase your pocketbook. So these are the great things that I have there that you need to use. Focus is the same thing, learning to focus, learning to not be all over, not scattered and stuff, so that you can actually move forward in the things that you want. That was the name of my speech was going to be today, was move forward. So the other thing, thinking big, is the same type thing. Expand your mind a little bit more to think things are possible. If you think about making $50 an hour is too much, read this book and make it bigger to where you can get hundreds and 200s. A surgeon, I'm thinking they said that a surgeon makes $30,000 an hour, you know, heart surgeons. So if they can make that much, start to expand your mind. $1 million is nothing, you know, really, because now Bill Cosby a long time said, $1 million is nothing. We need to be in the billions, and now we need to be in the trillions. You see what I'm saying? So we have to start thinking, expand your mind. What would I do with that? So you know what I've been doing? I've been running around saying, what would you do with $1 million? You know, if you had $1 million, where would you put it? You can't put so much in one bank, so where would I put it? What would I do? And finally, I've been asking that question for a year, and everybody's like, I don't know. I said, please don't go buy a car. That's the first thing I said, don't buy a car. And then the next thing I'll say, well, maybe a house, but I don't know. But you still have money left. So the thing that I ran into when I told you I met the guy whose nephew is a billionaire, he said, what you do, I'm talking to him, he's like, right here at the post office. And I said, what would you do with $1 million? And he said, you put it in T-bills. And I said, what in the heck are T-bills? And he said, you know, T-bills, where you can they have accounts, the bank knows all about it. So I was like, I'm going to research that. So that was my little tidbit, start researching, because when that money comes in, you need it. If you win a lottery, if you play, I don't, but if you win a lottery or any of those kind of things, you need to be able to know, what are we going to do with that money? So not just say, I wanna make this amount, but what are you gonna do with it? Where are you gonna put it? Where are you gonna save it? You see what I'm saying? Always save stuff for yourself first. You get a check, save that first 10% for yourself, sow that other 10%, put the rest of it to use to what you want. I have an ARROWS account, ARROWS, which means that I have kids that I take under my wing and I make them my arrows. So sometimes it's my cousin, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it was like the little boy that was at the Christian school that mom didn't homeschool. You know, she had him in homeschool program, but she never homeschooled him. So he was behind. 3rd grade supposed to be 5th grade. So I go in, I volunteer. This is what I do now. I go in, I volunteer, and I says, okay, let me help you. And then we start to do stuff. You know, we start to work, and he comes up and everything like that. But see, and I have another cousin, and he's 14 now, just turned 14. And sometimes I'll be riding down the road, and I hear God say, go give him some money. You know, because you don't want him out there begging for money. You don't want everybody asking for money. So I said, you know, he see me coming now. Before he's like, oh God, here she comes. So now I go there and he'll come out and I'll say, here, I just came over to give you some money. So I want you to take this money and do whatever. And right now when I leave, I'm going to go and put money on his books so that he can eat at the school. Because he says, I eat at 1 o'clock and I'm hungry. You know, so that's kind of how it is. You have to help each other. So I have those people under like ARROWS thing. So if I have somebody who wants to go do ballet, I have someone that wants to go do whatever, I'll have money in my account that they can actually write the check. I don't have to ask a lot of questions. You just write the check and help those people. And it don't have to be. I have a 91-year-old man right now, and he's in a daycare place, assisted living place, and he wanted a cell phone. His wife had just died. He wanted a cell phone, and so he only got, I think it was $50 after when he was in there. And so as a result of that, I said, I'll tell you what. I said, if you want a cell phone, I'll help you get one. And so I picked the cell phone that's through for elderly and all that, and it's big and you can kind of hear in it because he needs hearing aids now. But they had just done his eyes for laser and he thought he was going to go blind and be blind forever. And so we got the phone and then we hooked it up in my car and so that he could make his first phone call. And now I pay for his phone. It's just taken out of my check thing. Every month he has a phone. And every time I see him, like at church or wherever, I went to visit him the other day because he fell. But he'll say something like, he says, girl, I don't know what I would do with you without you. You are so awesome. He said, do you know what having a phone is like? And I said, yeah, I know exactly what it's like. So he said, it is so good to have this phone and be able, so he talked his first few minutes out. There's 100 minutes for a month or so. And so it's like, well, why don't I just increase your months and not get the minutes? So I did that to 500. And so now he's doing good, still talking, still doing great, and he remembers everything. And the thing about him is he was an evangelist. You know, I went to Christ for the Nations, a school in Texas, and I was like, oh my God. So I'm like all excited about him. And I just figured I can just honor him by just giving him a phone. You see what I'm saying? So when you get what you need, you know, as far as your education, and you got yourself together, you're beaming, you know, with all of the things, all of the knowledge, help somebody else. You know, that's what I just want you to know. And with that, I'm going to say thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was outstanding. We're waiting.